Welcome in, turds! Here on High Fiber Sports, we're going to start breaking down what's next for NFL teams after this past season with their fans. This week, we're headed to the AFC South with the Indianapolis Colts. For this Colts episode, we're bringing in a regular contributor here at High Fiber Sports and an avid Colts fan. Sammy boy, how we doing, bud?
Doing great, Brad. Happy to be back. I wish it were under better circumstances. I wish I wasn't doing a breakdown right now. I wish Colts were
You're
still in it, but
watching
not,
a playoff
so.
game? Buddy, rough season. They started out looking like the best team in the NFL, but came crashing down halfway through the season. I would compare it to a roller coaster ride, but it was more like bungee jumping if the cord snapped at the bottom like Daniel Jones Achilles. They started the year going 7-1 and were 8-2 going into the bye week, I believe. They were the number one seed in the AFC, only to aggressively shit their pants, losing the last 7 games of the season. Sam, what the fuck happened?
I can't disagree with any of your analysis there, Brad. Especially the bungee cord snap. Yeah, I mean, we won a thriller in overtime in Berlin against the Falcons, and then we came back for the bye week and never won after that. Um, I think people want black and white answers, but with anything else in life, there's a lot that goes into it, right? Certainly, injuries plague the Colts, as
Yeah.
you alluded to. Daniel Jones snapping his Achilles. But even before that, sometime coming out of the bye week, we found out that he actually had a fractured fibula or tibia
Fibula,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fibula,
So,
yeah.
and if I may, that was a little bit of foreshadowing for what was to come, because I think he was compensating with his other leg, and it was his
100%.
other leg that ended up having the Achilles tear. In that Jacksonville game, it was a little rainy. He stepped on it awkward and just looked like an awkward twist. But then, of course, like with these athletes, we see the way he slammed the helmet. I mean, he showed more emotion in those 5 seconds than he has in
Right?
any interview he's ever done.
Yeah, no joke, right? And like you were saying, I think there is a big part to you see a lot of these Achilles tears that are happening around all sports. And most of the time you can see it as some injury that happened just shortly beforehand that eventually, whether it be compensating or if it's a calf strain, that eventually turns into this.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of injuries, big piece for us, DeForest Buckner, your guy from the Niners. He's been a stalwart for us for years now. He had a neck injury. He tried to come back, played maybe a half game when Phillip Rivers was our quarterback, left, and then now is having neck surgery in the offseason. We barely got to see Sauce Gardner besides maybe a game and a half, if that. Um, but you can't blame things on injuries, right? And I think Colts management, Colts coaching, they were quick to say that, right? Every team in the NFL deals with injuries. And Brad, as a 49ers fan, you understand that better than anyone else. Now, you can't just sit here and
Mm-hmm.
say, well, the 49ers are making the playoffs. Not every team can overcome injuries in the way that a 49ers can. I don't think we've ever seen injuries overcome like this ever before. But still, there is that next man up mentality. And it's on Chris Ballard to have better backup players to step in. I
Depth.
mean,
Yeah.
Anthony Richardson hurt himself weeks and weeks and weeks before that. So you had Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Jones, and his backup was a 6th-round rookie, Riley Leonard from Notre Dame. I mean, I don't know. It just seems like malpractice, in my opinion.
Yeah, and like you said, depth has a lot to do with it, but sometimes, it can be coordinators and schemes and whatnot, making sure your guys are ready to go. I don't know, I'm not in the locker room, I'm no coach by any means. But I mean, you're looking at the team at the beginning of the year. Jones led offense. The Colts were historically efficient and high scoring through the first 8 weeks. They led the NFL in points per game, total EPA per play, and it was looking like Jonathan Taylor or Daniel Jones were going to be in the MVP race at that time. I remember they were just beating the hell out of everyone too. They weren't just winning; they were killing everyone. The schedule wasn't that tough to start, so people were kind of wishy-washy. And Jones actually finished the season with 68% completion percentage. There's no way in hell he ever did that when he was in New York, I'm pretty sure. When he went down with the broken leg, the Achilles tear, like, it's just, I felt bad for you, as, I kind of like tertiary rooted for the Colts because I was always a big Peyton Manning fan. But what do they do at quarterback now? Since he was on a 1 year deal, and outside of the first half of the year last year with Daniel Jones, they haven't had hope at quarterback since they had that homeless savant running the team.
You brought up Peyton Manning. I mean, during those first 8 games, they were talking about their efficiency and comparing it to, I think, the '07 Patriots and some of those early 2000 Colts teams. So, man,
Mm-hmm.
remember that, Brad? Remember how happy I was? I mean, Jonathan Taylor was doing things that hadn't been done since LT, and Daniel Jones was the savior. And it just goes to show
Yeah.
what a week to week league the NFL is, because I guarantee you most just NFL fans or fans of other teams don't even remember that the Colts were that good, but I do. And man, it made the fall twice as bad. But to get to your question, yeah, it's a predicament for sure. Right. Daniel Jones came in on a 1 year deal. I initially thought he was just competition to push Anthony Richardson. I was a little bit surprised when he took the
Mm-hmm.
starting job. I think it was
Yeah.
1 year, 14 million. So pretty stiff for a backup contract, but obviously initially we looked really smart for doing it. Um, but now Daniel Jones' future and his future with the Colts is pretty muddy. I do fully believe they intend to bring him back. I think that they're going to sign him to a deal. Um, and if I was Daniel Jones' agent, I'd be rubbing my hands like this because the Colts don't have another option. I mean, they're not even sure Anthony Richardson can see fully out of the eye that he injured. And then your other guy in the building is, again, sixth round rookie pick Riley Leonard from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah. Poor Richardson, man. Talk about the world's worst money shot he took. That sucked. Like, I really, like, with all of his athleticism and everything, I really wanted to see in some of those throws he made early in his career. I remember his first game just launching a bomb off his back foot like 70 yards down the field. I was like, ooh wee. But going into next year, I mean, I don't think Daniel Jones is going to be healthy for the beginning of the year with an Achilles tear. And even if he is, as you've seen with these quarterbacks having them, usually it's 2 years before they're back to normal. So I'm thinking next year you got to go in with, Riley Leonard did not look bad in the last game he started. I
No.
don't know why the hell they went to Philip Rivers. That guy couldn't throw the ball 15 yards down the field.
How much you want to make a bet I can throw a football over them mountains?
They should have just went ahead and said screw it. I mean, because there's no way Philip was taking you deep in the playoffs at 45 years old. So I
No.
mean, I think, who do you think is going to start at the beginning of the year? I feel like it's got to be Leonard or Richardson, or since that's all they really got in the quarterback room, they don't have whatever first round pick next year.
Yeah, they let Brett Rippenfarts go a couple weeks ago. He never saw the field. But yeah, to your point, poor Anthony. I've always been a supporter of his, and I feel like is a lot on him. Yeah, I mean everybody remembers the tap out. Young kid, inexperienced, and I just don't think the Colts nurtured him like they should have a quarterback that raw and that young. But I think the writing is on the wall. If you listen to some of these
Yeah.
end of the year press conferences, Shane won't touch it, Chris won't touch it. They just keep talking about, well, he's got to be able to see. I don't think he takes another snap as an Indianapolis Colt, in my opinion.
Ooh.
And especially,
Oh.
like you said, what they saw in Riley Leonard. I think the Colts are way too optimistic about Daniel Jones coming back from the Achilles. So I foresee maybe a 3 to 4 game stint where Riley Leonard is potentially your starter, with the hopes that Daniel Jones comes back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I could see that. Again, I thought he looked pretty good in the last game, but I just hope maybe time. Again, I don't know enough about Richardson's injury, but I would really like to see him get another shot, and or it maybe, if not with the Colts, if he gets his vision fully back, someone takes a chance on him, because I'd like to see what he can do really. But moving on to like kind of like an overall perspective of the team, I would assume that you and many other Colts fans were thinking that Carly Ursay, in her first year as owner with her two sisters, we all thought they were going to burn it all down. I was surprised when Steichen and Ballard were given another chance. Um, they they've had some flashes. I feel like it hasn't all been bad. Like hit on some draft picks like Nelson, Taylor, Pittman, Pierce, Leonard for a bit. Free agent moves, Bynum, Ward, trades, Buckner, Sauce. Can't really say good or bad yet, but I think he's a good player, and you've got him now locked up for a minute, so I think he's going to be a vital piece. But they just didn't add up to enough wins over the years with Ballard there, And Steichen, supposedly this offensive guru, it's only worked really for half a season so far. Unfortunately, the quarterback isn't the only roster problem they have right now. Like we talked about earlier, the front office gave up 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner. And obviously they were thinking Daniel Jones was the answer going forward after he performed so well, when they made the trade. So what do you think their moves, in your opinion, where do they go from here? Do they need a full roster overhaul, or are they just a few tweaks away from being that team that we saw in the first half of the year? Obviously, they've got explosive receivers, great running back, one of the best in the NFL. Quarterback's not there, but what other pieces do they need? Do they need to clear the slate? Again, not having any first round picks, or do you think they're almost there?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you brought up the Sauce Gardner trade. I think Colts fans are foolish at the end of the season to believe that they were going to burn it all down. Carly Ursay Gordon made her decision when she green-lighted the trade for Sauce Gardner. That told you
Mm-hmm.
that she believed and Chris Ballard believed and Shane Steichen believed that Daniel Jones, they found somebody in Daniel Jones. He was going to be both their short and long-term solution at quarterback, which they've been looking for years. So I was not surprised when he was not let go at the end of the season. There are a lot of people that thought maybe just Ballard would go and you keep Steichen because he's only in his third year as a head coach, first time head coach. So, but clearly Carly was looking at just this season and not Ballard's body of work because his body of work is rough. I was calling for him to be fired last year and I
Oh
was
yeah,
ready
I've
for it
heard you
again
talk
this
about it for a
year.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I agree. You can't overlook how great of a start it was. I agree with that. And recency bias, people will be leaning towards getting rid of them because of how bad of a collapse it was. But Brad, we lost 7 games in a row. That goes beyond injury. That goes to a culture problem, which I think has been there for a long time. And I think they tricked me this year with having a good start, bringing in some new pieces. I mean, I like to count to two: 0, 1, 2. 0 division wins in his 10 years. 10 years. Um,
Ugh,
one
that's really
playoff
bad.
win with Andrew Luck, where basically he was in his second year, and that was the previous regime,
Mm.
and 2 playoff appearances, one with Andrew Luck and one with Philip Rivers. I mean, that is inexcusable. The AFC South, I think the Jags have won the AFC South in that amount of time with like 2 or 3 different head coaches, 2 or 3
Blake
different general
Bortles.
managers. Yeah, I mean, it's like for this, it would be one thing if it was the AFC North or the NFC North. This is the AFC South we're talking about. I mean, you
Yeah.
can't even name some of the players and coaches that coached the Texans and the Jaguars 5, 6 years ago, and they've won the division in that amount of time, and the Colts haven't. It's, in my opinion, it's inexcusable. Um, I don't know, Ballard better pull something magic out of his butt for this upcoming season because I think there will be riots in Indianapolis if there's anything similar to what we've had for the last 10 years. Again, he's got to go.
Yeah, and I understand your frustration, but I think it's kind of similar to the Tomlin situation. You saw like all this, he put all these pieces around and had a quarterback for once. They again have not had a quarterback since Andrew Luck. So yes, I mean he's hit on other positions, but clearly they're not good at evaluating quarterbacks. Like to not have one, because I mean Philip River, even the first time he was there, that was the end of his career, and he was a shell of his old self even then. And bringing in these guys on 1 year deals, 1 year with Gardner. I'm trying to think all the guys that started there for like a year. It's kind of like Tomlin without their, when you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a team. It is the most important position, pretty much all of sports as far as one guy goes. So I don't know. I get why you're pissed, but I think if they had a quarterback at any point in time during that run, but maybe that's why they, got some good draft picks there. I really think a good quarterback with that receiving core and that running back and that offensive line should be able to do some stuff. But I guess it'll be seen. So saying all that, going over all that, where do you see them finishing the year next year? Wins wise, you think they make the playoffs? What are you seeing?
And I was definitely going to get to your actual question. It's been enough since the season ended that I feel like I was coming into this pretty level headed. That was my one emotional response.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
you bring up some really good points, and I think you have that unique perspective where you're not a Colts fan. You kind of see it from the outside looking in. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Ballard at the first part of the season could have given the middle finger to a lot of the Colts fans and beat reporters and things like that, because he did show he has built a pretty decent roster when you had the
Mm-hmm.
quarterback, right? Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, that offensive line has been good for a while too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think they're limited. I think the one of the reasons that Ballard was kept was because he proved last year that he can change. You can teach an old dog new tricks. He was
Mm-hmm.
aggressive for the first time in free agency, going after Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward. Cam Bynum was a great locker room guy, helping to change that culture. Because I think this does all boil down to a culture of losing, especially at the end of seasons. Um, but they're a little bit limited, right? Without having those two first round picks. For one, they're putting all
Mm-hmm.
their eggs in Daniel Jones' basket and hoping that he can recover a lot faster than Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers because he's much younger
Sure.
than they
Yeah.
were when they went through it. So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you got to bring back Alec Pierce. And I think the new trick for this old dog for this year is going to be, okay, you proved you can be aggressive and go get guys. Now, can you part ways with the guys that you love that you drafted that are taking up too much of the cap, right? I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about Michael Pittman Jr., talking about, I don't know, Zaire Franklin. Um, there there's a guy's making too much money. I mean, Michael Pittman's not a number one wide receiver. He can't you can't pay him $29 million, which I think is what he's
No.
would be paid next year. Um, Buck, I don't know with the neck, and then Charvarius Ward has mentioned that he might even retire because of how bad the concussions were this year. Um, and in Ballard's ending press conference, he said on defense we have to get younger and we have to get faster. There are a lot of old guys on that
Mm-hmm.
defensive line. I mean, we are generating no pressure from the edge. So I think he's got to be creative. I think he's got to free up some cap by maybe getting rid of some longtime Colts that he has a personal connection to and just do like the cold blooded thing and do what he needs to do as the manager versus like their friend.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'm guessing you don't see the playoffs in their future next year.
Well, in this historic collapse that they had, it's happened 5 or 6 other times in NFL history. I think they were the sixth team to do it. The last one was the 2012 Bears. All other five or all of the other six teams that this has happened to, where they started 7-1 or 8-2 and went on to miss the playoffs, none of them bounced back and made the playoffs the following year. I think
Mm-hmm.
there's a bit of a hangover of like, wow, I can't believe that happened. And like,
Yeah.
we were that bad to blow something so promising. So I don't know. And we have a tough schedule next year. We were the third place team. You know who else was the third place team? The Chiefs. We got the AFC North. I think the Bengals will be back. I think the Ravens will be back.
Yeah. No one even knows who's coaching in that division.
Exactly.
Like, okay, Steelers aren't. I wouldn't be afraid of them. They still don't have a quarterback. Like, unless they make some big moves, that'd be a division I'd be enjoying to play.
I
Because
mean,
I
how is
mean,
it that they get rid of Tomlin and they get rid of Harbaugh, but yet we can't get rid of Ballard? He gets his 10th year.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I mean, maybe he was there 19 years, so I think just the message got stale there more than anything.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I mean, the more I talk to you, because I was like, well, maybe if if Riley could be serviceable to start the year, but then when you talked about Buck and then Ward, the injuries you got were so serious. They weren't just like, oh, they'll be
Yeah.
back next year just fine. Neck surgery is no joke. Ward thinking about retiring. Usually, when you're thinking about it, you're gonna do it soon. Typically,
He doesn't have anything left to accomplish. He's been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's won a Super Bowl. He's been an All Pro. He's been a Pro
Mm-hmm.
Bowler, and he's made several sacks of money. So,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's
Yeah,
talking about he had 3 concussions this year, and one of them he got put on IR for. He's got young kids and a
In
family.
pregame warm-ups was his worst one
Dude, it was
when he got leveled.
gnarly. It was gnarly.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a bad one. Well, I guess, I mean, that's kind of the exciting thing about the NFL. You see so many teams worst to first every year. It's got the best parity outside of the NBA, but, every year, your team can do it unless you're like a Browns fan, in which you're never going to do it.
Or Jets.
So I guess, or Jets, Browns or Jets fan, just no hope for either of those two. Everyone else has got a chance when they never do. But I guess we're just going to have to find out,
Yep.
coming up this year, see what kind of moves they make. Hopefully they can get some late round steals in the draft. And for your sake, man, and all your suffering, I hope it ends soon. Well, Sammy boy, thanks for coming in today to talk about your Colts, even though it's kind of a sore subject right now.
Yeah.
There will be more off-season NFL teams breakdowns coming up here on High Fiber Sports. Maybe we'll hit your favorite team. But that's going to do it for us today on High Fiber. If you want to support the channel and help us grow, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, don't wash your anal beads in the dishwasher.